And hello to the honorable delegates of the Colorado Republican Party. This is the official convention announcement for 2022 Colorado gubernatorial candidate Jon Gray-Ginsburg. Candidate Gray-Ginsburg is the only candidate qualified and fit for the job at hand. Period. No other gubernatorial candidate other than Jon is a past contracted engineer for the government and native of Colorado, where he won the National Scholastics Award for Colorado in 1983 at Kent Denver Country Day High School, and then went on to complete 2 college degrees from Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas, where George Bush has his presidential library. As a Microsoft business partner and developer with software at the Google Store and Amazon stores, Jon has contracted as a computer engineer for the federal government with the USDA in Craig, Colorado, and also in Texas government with the Houston Toll Road Authority, and Jon worked as a poll computer technician for the 2011 Texas elections, and Mr. Gray-Ginsburg has worked in the past for Raytheon Defense as a specialized computer contractor, where he reached federal ITAR certification. Because Jon has the oldest computer business in Summit and Eagle counties, Jon has been part of the FOSI Conference for Homeland Security held in Washington, D.C., and Jon was also an employee for Halliburton and Landmark Software in the past. If elected, would request them along with General Electric to help build a desalinated water pipeline from the Gulf waters to Colorado River headwaters at the Continental Divide, to drop water to ultimately fill the Hoover Dam. And oh, yes, regarding Imagineering, Jon used to also contract for the Walt Disney Corporation. Just look at the beautiful me. And keep in mind no other gubernatorial candidate is already part of a water and sanitation special district in Colorado, and Jon is part of the largest special district in Colorado, which is United Water and Sanitation, along with his nemesis and opponent Jared Polis, who is also a private member of United Water and Sanitation. And now, I present 2022 gubernatorial candidate Jon Frederick Gray-Ginsburg. Let the race begin.
Candidate Gray-Ginsburg, on behalf of the Colorado State Lodge FOP, are you criticizing Jared Polis for creatively speculating with international cryptocurrencies and Colorado state workers' salaries and pensions at the same time? Who would believe a governor would gamble state salaries on international and regulated cryptocurrencies? Doesn't that violate 18 U.S.C. Chapter 115? Or I guess Colorado doesn't follow that federal law either anymore.
Actually, yes. I believe that Jared Polis has irresponsibly begun speculating with international cryptocurrencies, diluted with the salaries of Colorado police, teachers, firefighters, and state clerks, and social workers, and pension funds. I do not believe this is the correct way to double our law enforcement salaries, as there exists no cyber enforcement currently under Jared Polis' regime. I do not think it is prudent for Jared Polis to mix state salaries with unregulated cryptocurrencies at the moment, that is speculating with those currencies, especially with various Colorado state small county computers recently hacked in the news. My ethics committee does not think Jared Polis should be gambling state pension funds and cannabis tax funds with cryptocurrencies without proper IRS, federal regulation, and Treasury supervision.
Mr. Jon Gray-Ginsburg, on behalf of Wired Magazine, if you win the Colorado governor's office election, what is your plan to build computer chips in Colorado with Intel and TSMC and Apple for the car industry?
In 2023, after I become governor, Colorado will develop, build, and fabricate computer chips and develop facilities for the automotive industry in the spirit of the Denver Tech Center. With the tension in Taiwan and South Korea, our lovely lady Colorado will invite Intel, Samsung, and TSMC to create chip foundry facilities in Colorado, capable of producing 1 nanometer chips, especially for the automotive industry. Since 2005, I've been a Microsoft business partner in my day job, a cloud engineer with software at the Google Play Store, and my professional prime objective has always been making big tech work right for the people. I believe, as was said in 1984 by George Orwell, big tech should not work against the people. Big tech should work for the people. And with lessons learned from 1984, I demand big tech work for the people. And for my day job, I already make big tech work for the people.
Okay, Jon, what is this campaign plan I read about on Facebook which you propose from previous 1970s Colorado School of Mines engineering plans to build a pipeline from the Gulf of Mexico to the Colorado River at the Continental Divide to fill the Hoover Dam? It appears you actually intend to have several pipelines from the Gulf of Mexico built to deliver desalinated water to the Colorado headwaters. Where is the money going to come from to build this epic endeavor?
Quoting the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, H.R. 3684, when I become governor, I'm going to get with the governors of Texas and the governors of Oklahoma and New Mexico to get together and develop and build the Gulf of Mexico water to Colorado headwater desalinated pipeline to deposit water at the Continental Divide, where the Colorado River headwaters start, and pour the water into that and let it fill back down and fill up the Hoover Dam, which is about to go empty. Now, actually, this idea will be using part of the plan devised by the Colorado School of Mines in the 1970s under the Right Honorable Colorado Republican Governor John Arthur Love, whose insight had the original idea and objective to refill the Colorado River and refill the Hoover Dam 50 years ago.
Candidate Gray Ginsburg, for Telemundo, can you please explain better your concept to build a railroad network, transportation network, and gondola network throughout all of Colorado for transport and to garden the forest to sell the dead trees internationally? ¿Puede explicar mejor su concepto para construir una red ferroviaria, una red de transporte y una red de góndolas a lo largo de todo Colorado para el transporte y garden the forest para vender los árboles muertos internacionalmente?
Again, quoting the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, H.R. 3684. When I become elected, Colorado will build a Boulder to Summit County to Park County to Mesa County to Weld County rail system for the transportation and to garden the forest. I'm sure I missed some counties there, but the point is that all counties are part of this rail network system that you might call a Colorado Metro rail system. And it'll be used to, garden the forest, for instance, before the forest burns down. The second objective is to sell the wood internationally from the railroad that will be used to garden the forest and to garden Colorado more effectively. And then the third objective, or maybe the first objective, is to increase rail transportation and make better and upgrade the rail transportation network throughout Colorado as part of the Green Initiative. And that is to decrease cars and to decrease traffic while creating jobs for a more efficient and green transportation network. When I'm elected, I shall have Colorado harvest all these dead trees that have been killed by the plague and the beetle kill. And I shall have Colorado harvest these trees and we'll sell them internationally. And that is before the Arapaho National Forest burns down. The plan is to garden the forest and to garden the forest for the next harvest, which could be 20 or 30 years. And this is just as the Ute tribe recommends.
Why do you disagree with Jared Polis allowing Taliban cannabis in Colorado dispensaries? John, why do you think this is a bad idea?
I do not agree that Jared Polis should continue to involve cannabis business as usual with the Taliban after deploying Colorado National Guard assets to the Taliban in 2020, noted in the newspaper. I say no. No to Taliban hashish in Colorado dispensaries, with Jared Polis profiting a lot behind the scenes. I say no to Taliban cannabis in Colorado dispensaries. They, the Taliban, will hurt our own Colorado native farmers and Colorado native cannabis industry, and the Taliban under Jared Polis will hurt and is hurting Colorado. The Taliban hurts Colorado in the dispensaries and pays taxes to Jared Polis.
Candidate Jon Gray-Ginsburg, on behalf of the Washington Post, please explain your thoughts on Jared Polis' changing of the actual names of the state of Colorado? For instance, the renaming of Mount Evans.
Do you really want Jared Polis to totally change the name of Colorado? Because he's on his way. Keeping Psalm 23.1.6 in mind, I heard Jared Polis wants to rename Colorado, the actual name of Colorado, after one of his very own husbands. Do you want Jared Polis to totally change the name of Colorado to be the name of one of his own husbands? I say no, absolutely not. I disagree with changing the name of Colorado on the map, in order despite the Evans family in the English House of Lords, and despite the European American settlers who named the mountain before the current border crisis. I complain and allege that the renaming of Colorado is a grossly seditious act by the Jared Polis administration, especially used during the Emergency Powers Act. For you history buffs, Jared Polis' signature goes against NATO and against the UK, because several centuries ago, the UK helped name our mountain Mount Evans for the Evans family in the UK House of Lords in London. And at the same time, they named our beautiful Colorado town Windsor after the Windsor family of the UK as well.
John, what are your thoughts on human life and the human soul regarding Jared Polis' new trimester abortion policies?
Born in Colorado and being a graduate of Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas with 2 degrees, I have a more Judeo-Christian educated view on these profound questions you asked. I definitely do not believe in abortion for the 3rd trimester, which is abortion abuse that definitely violates the newborn soul, as I remember being born. Keeping human life, the soul, and human dignity in mind with the new Colorado law and House Bill 20-1060. Jared Polis has legalized making Colorado dead people into fertilizer that can be used in agriculture and livestock use for commercial gain, which is actually cannibalism. I will end this special Jared Polis law, House Bill 20-1060, my first day in office that I'm allowed to sign documents. As for Colorado nursing homes, where my own grandmother passed away, I would expand grievous procedure under Colorado law section 49.3.1, referencing the McLeod versus Miller decision, section 49.4, and so the families of nursing home patients have more say and more rights in the nursing home, both financially and to enforce proper care.
Candidate Gray Ginsburg, on behalf of the Boulder CU Independent, if you win office, is it really your plan to build a Summit County branch of Colorado University for the Western Slope to have an international university for the Western Slope with graduate law and doctoral degrees too?
For all of Colorado, it is time that Summit County and Ingle counties should get a new international university with diversified campuses to also serve the Western Slope, where there is no international university. This will support the unique housing markets in Summit County and Eagle County, while supporting the ski and tourism industries, fixing the current troubles with labor.
And what is your long-term fire insurance plan for Colorado to avoid the disaster from the Marshall Fire?
When elected, I will create a better engineered and long-term Marshall Fire Plan, an insurance program that is better than the current House Bill 22-111, where many people are still unnecessarily just getting burned.
With all due respect to the females of the world, what do you think a woman is? How do you define woman?
Well, a woman is not a man, genetically nor biologically. A woman is an adult female human being with 2 X chromosomes. Prior to adulthood, a female human is referred to as a girl, a female child or adolescent. For males, boys, and men, typically have an X and Y chromosome, and God made it that way, where women have 2 X chromosomes and males have an X and Y chromosome, because God made it that way, and computer science is still sequencing it out. But only women can be a biological mother, and I love my mother. I worship women and believe only in real queens who have real babies, and true queens can only really be real women from God, no matter how aggressive Jared Polis tries and lies.
Candidate Gray Ginsburg, on behalf of Builder Magazine, how do you plan on building more sustainable housing in Colorado? With the housing shortage, how are you going to build more eco-friendly houses, apartments, and condos? Are you familiar with the construction business?
Builders should love my Builders Committee because we want to build more houses and we want to build more condos and we want to build more apartments in Colorado because Colorado needs more housing. And Colorado needs more sustainable housing, affordable housing, and solar-powered housing. Anyways, we will definitely have more water because we're going to improve water treatment throughout Colorado, and we will actually try to drill for more water and put it through treatment in Colorado. And hopefully we'll at some point have this pipeline from the Gulf of Mexico to the headwaters of Colorado for more water. And the point is that we need to continue to sustain building and economic growth in Colorado, especially with housing.